what does it is? What is it?
Hi guys,
Hi.
how's it going back there? Thanks for setting a place I can see you. Appreciate it. Thanks for making time to come to this meeting. I know there's lots of questions around what in the world is going on and what's going to happen and who am I and So I'm thankful you guys are able to be here. As we kind of look forward about what's going to be going on and talk about a little bit more about what it means to worship and things like that. Our goal, as I talked with Josh a good bit, is we want to get better at things, not necessarily like just for the sake of being better, but we want to like be more organized, have clear expectations and stuff like that, so that we can get bigger, right? We want to be able to move together in unity, so that when we invite friends in, we're ready to roll, we have everything set up. And so one of the big goals for worship is to be able to involve the community more, but also lower some of the barrier of entry to those that want to join the team, as well as those who want to learn what Cove worship is all about. So our agenda today is pretty short and sweet. I want to get through it as quickly as possible. I appreciate your time. We're going to start with some reminders about why we worship, and then talk about what that kind of looks like in song. And we're gonna root it in those things. We're gonna talk about what's coming soon, so what's happening in like Q4 of 2024, if you talk business. And then we're gonna talk about what's coming next, looking at 2025 as well. Josh is not back there. He's supposed to run my slides.
I can click.
You click next. Just on the keyboard, it should work. Nice. Sweet. So, good job, Corey. Why do we worship? Is a simple question, but I think a really important one. Just to first start with, much of this will be a reminder for you guys. What is the root of why we do all things worship? So first, simply is to glorify God. Worship is our response to God's greatness, and so worship is about recognizing His holy name and expressing our reverence, our worship to Him. We want to give Him glory. Psalm 29:2 says, "Ascribed to the Lord the glory due to His name. Worship the Lord in the splendor of His holiness." So we want to glorify God in all that He is worthy. Secondly, we worship to draw near to God. James 4:8 says, "Draw near to God and He will draw near to you." And so worship brings us into a deeper relationship with God because it aligns our hearts with His and helps us become more aware of His presence. Thirdly, why do we worship? We worship to remember what He's done. We want to celebrate what He has done in our lives and those around us. Psalm 9:1 says, "I'll give thanks to the Lord with my whole heart and will count all your wonderful deeds." Throughout all of Exodus, if you studied that recently, the Lord tells them to worship in remembrance of what He's done. We want to do the same. It allows us to just celebrate what God has done and helps us build faith and gratitude as we worship. And finally, why do we worship? Worship to fulfill our purpose. We were created to worship God. And it's our purpose as His creation, and it's a way to express our love and devotion to Him. 1 Peter 2:9 says, "But you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for His own possession, that you may proclaim the excellencies of Him who called you out of darkness into His marvelous light." So, as a worship team, right, we want to be able to worship the Lord fully. And obviously these things aren't necessarily attached to music at all. This is about life. This is about how we live, how we interact with people. But what should worship look like in song? What do we want our worship as a team that leads vocally, that leads instrumentally, what do we want that to look like? So first, we want our worship to be Jesus-centered. Colossians 3:16 says, "Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly, teaching and admonishing one another in all wisdom, singing psalms and hymns and spiritual songs with thankfulness in your hearts to God." What we sing is teaching as well, right? We want to teach people, we want to remind people what is true and what is from the Bible. So the context of our songs should be focused on the gospel, on exalting Jesus, on expressing sound theology, and that encourages and edifies those around us. Secondly, we want our worship to be spirit-led. John 4:24 says, "God is spirit, and those who worship Him must worship in spirit and in truth." And so that is our goal. Our worship should be spirit-led, allowing us to speak in the freedom that Christ has given us and allow us to continue to maintain order and respect while being able to be spontaneous and understand what the Spirit is leading us to do. Thirdly, our worship should be church-oriented. Worship is not just for the worship team. It involves the whole congregation. Songs should be singable with lyrics and arrangements that invite participation. Ephesians 5:19 says, "Speak to one another with psalms and hymns and spiritual songs. Sing and make music in your heart to the Lord." Finally, we want our worship to be authentically excellent. Now, we're not striving to be perfect. We're striving to give the Lord and offer our best. Colossians 3:23 says, "Whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord, not for men." And so we want to strive to give the Lord our best. That means practicing and preparing well, but also being authentic and genuine in our expression of that. So with that as our foundation, we can talk about what we're doing going forward. We can move forward, trying to do all of this, trying to express the Lord to the Lord, the gratitude and glory that He should be given. Knowing that we're broken humans, we can move forward knowing that God has saved us. Amen. Amen. So, what's coming soon? What is kind of changing? What's kind of happening behind the scenes? What are we working on? I met with some of our section leaders on Thursday, and we went through some of this, and so I'm excited to share it here today. First, one thing that's happening is a concise and intentional song catalog. And so if you have a phone, you can scan this QR code. It'll take you to a new Spotify playlist. Now this one is still a little bit of a work in progress. It's just called Cove Worship. It'll be where it will cycle. That will always be the playlist for what we're going to be currently playing on rotation at Cove. And so the goal of this is to do two things. First, it allows the congregation to know the songs. You'll notice that there's 25, it'll probably be 25 to 35 songs on there at any point in time. It'll allow the congregation to know the songs well so that they can worship freely, not having to always look at the words or learn the song for the first time. They can obviously listen to it on Spotify and so they're prepared as well. But they're also able to have these songs repeat in their head over and over again through knowing the songs well. Secondly, and I think a part that will help us as a worship team, especially new members come aboard, is that this will allow the worship team to know their parts through and through. When you know what songs could be played, you can practice ahead of time, even though you don't know maybe exactly what song you're playing or when you'll be scheduled. You can practice all of these songs. And so there will also be a consistent planning center invite that you guys will have that will have a full team on it invited, and you guys should just accept it because the date doesn't matter. But it'll have all the songs on there with all the resources, with all the multi-tracks, with all these things. Now that's not set up yet, but it will be. So that'll be coming. You guys can preference that as much as you can. So that'll be a helpful thing. What this doesn't mean is that I am the dictator that decides all of these things and you guys have no input on songs and all these things. This just means that we're going to be a little bit more strategic and selective when it comes to songs that we sing. Anyone can suggest songs and send them to me, and I'm more than happy to listen to them and consider them. And because I know I can't possibly stay on top of all the new releases and all the new fun music that comes out, and so I want to hear from you guys. I am sending, this is a multimedia presentation, I'm sending in Slack currently, I just sent it, the song selection guidelines. So a lot of what is happening now and what will be happening is just a clarification of expectations and giving some standards for you guys to understand where I'm coming from and also be able to look at these things yourself. So these are some song selection guidelines. If you just get into Slack, that comes here. So there's selections for individual songs. So considering, is the song true? Is the song engaging? Is it beautiful? Is the message clear? My favorite question, would only middle-class white people listen to this? Some of that stuff. Does the instrumentation fit our band? Some of those things that are really important. And then also looking at the whole catalog, like, hey, are we singing too much about God's love and His mercy and not enough about His justice and power? Like, how are we balancing this out? Are we overplaying songs, underplaying songs? Are we trying to be too cool? Are we trying to like push tradition to the side and not sing some of these things that are just too old? So that'll help you guys, as you guys listen to songs and be like, this song I think we should play. This song just came out, it's really cool. I'm gonna send this over to Jack because I think this fits this. And I'm like, that, I would love that. So please do that. I welcome that. Hopefully. Yes?
Goal that says we can all be let's upgrade. What's the 10 times?
I think there's a question on there. Vain repetition? Yeah. Is this song with vain repetition? Yeah. There's that, what's that song? And then yeah,
The blessing.
All the memes about that are just so funny. It just says, and their children, and their children, and their children. So the second thing we want to do is establish some healthy rhythms in scheduling. We love how much people love to worship here and love to play on the worship team. But our primary goal of being on the worship team is not just to be people that sing and play instruments on stage. We want to be a part of the church. We want you to also enjoy worshiping the Lord not just from the stage. We want you to go to church with your spouse or your friends that you've invited without that distraction. You also kind of believe the song. Your first contribution as part of the worship team is not as an instrumentalist, not as a producer or singer, it's as a brother and sister in Christ. And so if you're only at church when you're leading, it's easy for you to have an unhealthy view of yourself in the congregation to do the same. If when you're at church, you're not attending service, you're not sitting under the teaching, you're not learning about God's word, then you can't properly respond to the Lord in worship. And so we want you to be attending Cove even when you're not leading and serving and when you are. So this also includes me. You'll see Emma and I will take breaks. Like today, we just came to church, enjoyed the service and sitting on the teaching and worshiping. And so it'll be, we will not schedule everyone with, it's like 3 weeks in a row is kind of like our thing. It's like, hey, we'll make sure you have a week off so that you can enjoy time with your family or enjoy time just sitting here worshiping the Lord. And we know also that this is something that sometimes people enjoy. People enjoy playing every week, that rhythm, but we think it's important to be able to worship the Lord privately as well, not just publicly from stage. So, thirdly for this one, for Q4, is the Cove worship dress code. This is something that Josh had brought up to me when I was first coming out. I was like, hey, do you have any resources for this? I think this would be a good thing to get started with. So I'm also talking this. So extra.
So I said darkly.
It didn't run.
Oh, that
You want this morning?
Okay, I'll send it in Slack. I can do that. Don't worry. Hold on.
they get some kids get like that.
There you go. Let's just also send it. So this Cove worship dress code is like heavily based off the Elevation worship dress code. Obviously, I don't need to reinvent the wheel when it comes to a lot of these things. These exist. And so this dress code is very question-based. And so it allows us to make our artistic choices of how we want to look and all these things. And yes, my favorite question, which I'm sure I'll show everyone, do you want to show your feet to so many people? Now, what Maxwell, what this isn't saying is you can't wear sandals. Look at these got boots. It's ready to go. But what it's saying is, hey, there's pictures taken every week, so just think about it. You know? There's a thought. So these questions are important and will be important to helping us be able to represent Christ well and just limit distractions as much as possible while allowing us to be artistic and show our style and whatever. So we will be doing questions at the end, by the way, but if you have any questions about those three things specifically now, I'd love to answer them.
Well, now you've got what the
link doesn't work. The other link I just sent? Yeah. What is that thing? Is it private?
it's about that
So
I also put it.
the public playlist? Yeah, I'll figure that out. Just circle back. Thank you, Liz. We'll touch base with it. Let's do out for the pretty one. West of the Strait. Okay, so those are those three things. Now looking forward of what's coming next. So looking towards 2025, of things that we'll continue to work on. Obviously, these are not created yet, or there's not a ton of things to them quite yet. So one of the big things I'm thinking about, and as we're trying to equip other worship leaders to lead and just giving expectations and clarity, is rehearsal guidelines and roadmap. So hey, what time should we be here? What time should some things be starting? How would I suggest that we practice a worship set? How would I and rehearse? How should we show up? What time do we meet over here for prayer? What time, like all these things that will lay out a whole day for a worship leader in order to direct the team. And so you guys will be able to understand, hey, this is what the expectation is. Obviously there's grace and all these things, but just as long getting us on the same page will be important for unity and moving toward. Secondly, I'm working in ideating a new audition process. I think a lot of it could be done online and then followed up in person. I think that'll just help us be able to be more efficient and allow more people to be like, I'm gonna record this thing and come from my own home, so I'm not super nervous. And so you can actually hear what I sound like, my voice sounds like when it's not shaky and nervous, because I totally understand it. And do some of those things and then follow it up in person, and we'll have an idea for that. So I think that'll be good. Also, thirdly, working on a restructured worship team leader job descriptions. So what this doesn't mean is that we're getting rid of anyone or anything and being like, you're off the team or whatever. Well, all these people do is bring clarity and expectations to what you guys do. So like Nick being the music director, what does that mean? What is he supposed to do? And so if Nick's not there and I want to assign music director to Ethan, what is Ethan supposed to do? Like those kind of things. What does it look like to be a vocal leader for a week? What does it look like to be a worship leader for a week? And some of those things. So like it'll be like, basically job for those. And so there's expectations set. And finally, one of probably the biggest thing that we're working on for 2025 is a Cove City worship team covenant. And so what this is a document that'll help us all get on the same page. And it will have like a signature page and all these things in order for us to understand what is expected. So they'll be like, here's what's expected of you as worship team member. Here's what's expected of you when it comes to the leadership guidelines here at Cove City. What is expected of you when it comes to the essential doctrines, and if you agree with these or not. These will be really important things as we move forward so that we can be unified in our worship and also in our doctrine as we're teaching the stage and so on. I'll also have the dress code in there and some other things so that you sign it, you say, I agree to these things, so that we can be like, you agreed to this, so we need to agree to this. We need to still do this. So, those are all the things looking forward as well right now. Obviously, there'll be more things that'll come up, and we'll continue to communicate those things. Is there any questions about those things? Any questions about worship going forward? English hair?
Like,
Yeah?
I'm a line before that have slot by.
Okay.
Is there, like, I guess I could just say, find the song. There's a,
I'll make a YouTube playlist as well. Does that work?
yes, called Jones computer. Yeah, I love it's not obvious, but
Yeah.
pick my side.
Oh, hey now.
Just tell me out.
Great. I'll make a YouTube playlist. Does anyone watch the live versions too with their phone?
Songs, it'd be great.
Any other questions about anything going forward?
I got your children questions, then you speak, people get the song told. It's like, I don't understand where all these people to put it. What are we doing wrong there?
It's not about what we're doing wrong. It's just about bringing clarity and expectations. I don't think it changes too much from what I've understood.
God brought us all here together. What we're doing.
That
Yeah, now you're saying, here thou some new goals we're going to apply and to the situation. And so there is not I likewise.
Yeah, I think that's all rooted in what I said at the beginning, right? It all roots out of what we talk about. What is worship? What should it be focused on? How can this unity as a team and clarity and expectations help us move forward together? I think that's more what it is. Less rules and more just guidelines to work on and work off of so that we can be on the same page. Is there a part of that that's concerning typically? Like you think that?
So that's exactly that. The church.
Okay.
So check it. So we had a group. I think they the same time. Either they added said, here are all these people. You have to sign this paper. You have to agree on most settings. You don't this and that, and it's like as soon as it happens, it got all athletic. Thank you. Got all of different skill. I went up. I guess what I'm going to refer to happen is come in and see whatever it is right now. And there are things to address, like the rest of the people, and say, I mean, that's fine. But I mean, the rest of it to me, it's more honesty. You know, we need to learn honesty.
Yeah.
And that allows us to get together and play together. You can't say it's the age group band and these people. Can't do it. So, but also, the woman can't just be free and say, oh, I can do anything I want. The consequences. So, I mean, I understand the rules for that, but I understand the rules like saying, okay, you decide this playbill behind people that are up on its stage and represent actors, then you get a certain way. That maybe it uses, God bring this together, one and a reason. And seems like that's good. I don't see that and if somehow these rules have been a way in between that seems like that's to me. So I'm not gonna. Yeah, that I'm gonna leave it at very broad.
My goal is not to have this get in the way, right? My goal is just to bring clarity, just to allow us to get on the same page so that we can move forward together. It's actually the opposite of that, right? There's no hope to break it apart, but hope to bring it together even closer, knowing that we can agree on things, that be held accountable together like the church is supposed to be, and be able to work forward together. So I think it's about right? Like you're coming in here, you don't really know everything about what's happening and where we've been, but you're coming in and have changes and suggestions. That's fair. I don't know everything, and I don't pretend to be the expert. And I think I feel like as section leaders can correct it wrong. I feel like I've been as very transparent, asking lots and lots of questions. I've had lots of meetings and trying to understand and move forward. And some of these things that we're rolling out now are generally universal things. It's like, hey, this is how we select songs. This is what this dress code is. A lot of that bigger stuff, like, hey, here's this team covenant that's going to be really important because we want, just like you said, David, we want the people on stage to represent the church which is a great way to say that. That is coming later because we want to continue to learn and shape that document and get input to my stuff. So, Phil?
I think the concern, but the first catalog, I don't want us to be stopped with a lot of churches playing songs 10 years ago, like when that going share was
Yeah.
I'm not saying that brothers do that. I so course catalog being limited to only one and five, 35 songs, singing Save the Door or getting tired.
Yeah, it gets this question. It gets updated nearly every series. So we look at, hey, what are we going to be talking about? How can we respond to this best of worship? How does this tie into what we're talking about? So absolutely quarterly. So every 3 months it'll be updated, and definitely adding in and subtracting songs for what we're talking about for a series. So that's a great point. And I mean, I listen to a lot of new worship stuff. Every Friday I'm looking forward to it. So I love the new stuff, and there's some stuff about the old that are great. So, of course.
And this it got as used to me that a lot of what's made in churches and modern, present day, I guess, worship teams, there seems to be that necessity to find a balance between all individual and little songs, the bringing newcomer also having established or having structure, but also understanding that a team has a specific vibe and a certain community to it. And I think having everything on first off, like based on the level that have the structure, sounds like the way kind of great multi set. I know that I've been in churches before that as soon as you walk in, they kind of go to you and spot what you have position and like this is what you're gonna do and this is your competitive leader at that spot side with that your spot. That's true. And I know that you way yell, and I didn't see from what is being presented that doesn't seem to be the case. Kind of about Fox team and it's just they were gonna beat up this kind, we're gonna beat this there, and that's to be that. And especially if they want to grow the way they want to, they want to have all of these things together. I think that structure seems like a very weird thing underneath the see where it goes. And I'm sure there's going to be more meetings like this where we can out sit up and what works, what doesn't. Sure, absolutely. Now we can have those. I think you're deciding when we're going to have a practice in the sweat. We're trying to do on Saturday, then we switch and adapt that pop out into conversations with the team. We have that within us, within the within who we are right now as co-city worship in order to enable beginning. So I think having the structure, if there's anything that kind of like, oh, that was right, I'm sure we can talk about. I'm sure they'll even figure it out. And so that's it.
I'm definitely not stuck in my ways. I just have some things that I think will be helpful. Talking to a lot of Josh, and I think that's a great point. It's like you guys have always come together and figured it out together, which I think is super cool. And so I want to continue that, right? That's why I'm proud that's meeting, and I'm not just sending a random Slack message like, here's what's happening, right? I want to be late to questions and get input, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, well, like,
So yeah.
that would cut. Thank you. I mean, the same way that Jane or the because it's not as fall or and my question is about care of the word. So I know we have small groups that go to the all of us and family that are cared for. What did that look like? Where is
Yeah.
would pretty that look like?
So that's a little bit, that's a good question. That's a little bit of part of what I'm defining for next year as well. Obviously, myself as the head, ultimately I'm caring for the worship team. But also I'm a man that, I will need people to help me care for the ladies on the team. And obviously there's a good amount of us. So it'll take time to get to know everyone and care for them well, because obviously that's Cove's relationship. So ultimately, it falls on me, but I definitely will be looking for help, especially helping care for the ladies and any of the men that want to help as well, care for other people on the team. And just, it's way more about our heart in worship, right? I want us to be worshipful and spirit-led because we're connected to the Lord first, right? I often say, like, you can't lead people where you're not going yourself. So we are lead worshipers. If we're worship leaders, we also need to be worshiping. So the spiritual side of it is significantly more important if we sound good. So, yeah.
One message. Good on Tuesday, we got.
The fuzzy glitch, no, it's not fixed. Be great though. One of these days we'll get it there figured out. Has to do with the wiring of this building for sure. I mean, Nick would know more, and David would know more. It's just like in an industrial warehouse, there's just electricity flowing through the air. It's just part of it. Yeah.
Like the heart. We have one document for the
Yeah, you can reach out to me on Slack. My phone number's in the Slack channel if you want to reach out. If you want to have a longer conversation, we can definitely schedule a meeting in person and on the phone. I'm open to whatever. I run my own business, so I have time whenever you guys have time. If flexibility, like, hey, I get a lunch break. Let's meet up for lunch. Cool. I get off early. Can we do it after golf? Cool. Yeah.
Okay, someone she has a question.
Oh yeah.
So she said, what do you know the dress code if girls have to wear skirts past their knees? Does that mean guys can't wear shorts?
Yes, that does mean that. Yep.
My personal question is, I think a dress to a knee is very different than a mini skirt. Are we sending no dress to knees?
I would say if you can answer the question honestly, being like this is will be good. The big part about that is, hey, I'm up here right now,
Yes.
right? So Wes is building at the eye level is not the most comfortable. Yeah, those things. I'm just honest. So just be mindful of that. It's like, hey, especially when you're a foot and a half off the ground, they're looking up. So, someone's in the front row, you're wearing a skirt that's maybe it's a little too high. They can see up. Same with guys in shorts. If I was in shorts right now, it would be awkward for Wes. Those things.
Dressing well.
Yeah, that's it.
It's like you have a very big question.
Good point.
I said it. But also play that.
Have a question before we wrap up?
Sure. I don't.
Oh, yeah.
Into with other. I don't know.
No,
It's up to you.
it's up to you. Yeah, it's just a question.
Or something. I think it's a cultural thing that I'm wearing thinking.
Oh, you're
I'll wear it.
yes, you're totally allowed to. People will see your feet. That's the thing.
Part of
The dogs are there. I love the dogs.
I think that is as followers of Christ and coming to church, it is about trying to have like your best presentation glory in the same way that we want to give our best foot forward in worship. We want to play out. On that simple.
once we get out.
All right, but I have a question about that because we accept anybody that comes to Bruce Church. We don't exclude people because they don't wear the right clothes, they don't smoke, but don't. Okay, so you want to put a dress code, you can say specific things in your dress code, you can't wear a respect. But again, in my mind, it gets back to modesty. If you're a modest individual and dress modestly, even if it's a short and skirt around the knee, you happen to be 5 foot tall, you maybe it works, and it's still modest. But I don't.
That's case to you.
Yeah,
That's why these rules are very. It's just decide.
Not like super like when it's like let's be from this and let's be like intentional about fire this. Like what to sound like when I was like in one by the dress, a way thing decided couldn't have something right, just like
The balance.
and then like if it's outrageous, well what kind of like
Yeah.
like kind of like the other side just do that thing to you. And
that's the point. Is like, hey, dress code is like, obviously the goal is modesty and notice and less distraction, so more support freely. But also, like, hey, we want to be able to express ourselves. And there's grace in that, but we want to be on the same page. So this just helps get this question asked about the name.
And then we want to really use this as a means to make about us that like but their problem for you to see that should make it discouraged from being scouts because your practice after the rest we all we all know their experiences and reaching out to them to say this act that regardless of what's going on here, just don't reach it out here to break about it. Because our goal, as a person is answers in the place, and our goal as members of this church probably is that how about some contributors. He's out, make this both happening, show people how right it is.
Yes. So just to give a little estimate, that's like, I know we have people that balance, we're good on relative to pretty new to this. But at least for me, right, when I joined it to them, it wasn't that they were no goals. These aren't all great things. You know, get around with every into this call. I'm trying to sell that. You come to zone from there, but you don't know that you're on the same page as them. Like some guesswork there, there's some discomfort. Am I going to show up just to be there? Then do I have to I get respond. Like a real self-active this was a breakdown now. But I think something that such as the first is this allows this for me to come in to comfort. I'm understand what you guys are as being able to see if I'm awesome. Absolutely, that's cool. Yeah.
Not legally, like that. Yeah, like, fine. Yeah, 8.
You don't want to go back to the 80s.
He's,
I would go with like the 60s.
except some songs are really
Yeah. Modernized hymns are like some of my favorite jazz. Oh yes.
I think we have a chaos to like also get solve this. You have to take a little. Yeah, you can't go and solve it. We. I'm not seeing it. So it's not bad, but you could say I would like to wait on that. So it's like
Me and Angela were just talking about this. I was like, this sounds really fun. It sounds good. All right. Any final questions before we wrap up? Yeah.
just a thought. I think for me, it's that uncomfortableness of like, yes, we're trying to be a thing for on up church, but I also got a little bit more concept thing as so the step sometimes of the maybe we show up to church looking a little cats. That doesn't mean that it can't be modest in it, but it's a guy that it's tough about product. No sweatshirts, no t-shirts, no this, no that. I don't know if it's necessarily on here, but I think that's what makes us older as well as that younger generation as well.
Yeah.
Like how do we be a grown up church full system at this technology it's 7 old?
yeah.
And he said that anyone who goes to church these about people of those officer style.
It's not about a certain style for sure. It's more about just having a standard of modesty, like you're talking about, because up here is the representation of our church, right? We don't want that to be checked. To your point about hey, we're casual church. I mean, you see me most weeks and you wear the Browns jersey on, which anyway, it's fine. And so it'll be a part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just casually, it's nothing saying that, I live in my dream baby, you choose whatever, like, that's still the people identity we're saying,
Yep.
kind of think, sure, art and months and, adhered so fortunate to be available. There's any place, good, so that's how they are, and
Do not need a cozy something. Right? Just once in a movie, tells friends. To find school right? This is like
Final questions?
go
On Friday, then we'll get started with the couple auditions that we have, and we'll be in the sector. That's our bill. Lord, we thank you. We praise you. We worship you even now. Lord, we give you glory for what you've done, the ways that you've rescued each one of us, ways that you reached out and saved us from our own mess. Lord, your sacrifice on the cross covered you so much, the ones that need glory and everything that we do. Lord, pray as we move forward, we be a unified team. Be dedicated to what you have for us. We're dedicated to your word and your truth. We're not let your own preferences get in the way, but we're focus on glorifying you first. Lord, thank you for this time, for this team. Lord, they are so excellent. So thankful for each of them individually. Lord, I'm thankful for the leaders that have come before me that have set a great foundation. The Lord, it's so great to be a part of this community. Learning about people in relationship, learning more about you together. We saw you instead.
Amen.
Thanks, guys.